do we have a representative with Sam Begley?
I've got representatives, I'm going to speak for myself.
Okay.
And then I've got a packet of documents. And then that they may be handy to me. And we made about 6 or 8.
We'll need 7.
7. We'll see what we got.
Are you picking up sound?
Yeah. We don't get all of it.
Okay. All right, what should we be considering?
Well, Madam Chairwoman, I filed a petition challenging the residency of James Evans, who is a candidate for House District 70 in the Democratic primary. I am a qualified elector. I am also a candidate for the same office. I have lived in this town for 45 years. This is a local election, and I'm familiar with where people live, and I have numerous relationships with people. And for many years, I've been represented by Representative Cecil Brown, and his district has been reconfigured. And now I find myself in District 70. I've always wanted to be in the legislature, to give it a try. I thought I could do something good. And but as I plan to run, I've got numerous feedback from people saying that, you know, Mr. Evans, he and his family live up in Northeast Jackson, in Rolling Woods neighborhood on Meadow Creek Cove. And I said, you know, and that was all anecdotal. And I retained a lawyer because a residence issue is a significant challenge. It's a personal challenge, although I think we should just be looking at the facts and all, and not personality. And I said, you know, this is what has been told to me, and it was suggested that an attorney retain an investigative firm, Security Support Services, which is a Jackson-based company that's owned by Charlie Soms and several people. And it was explained to him what we were trying to determine. You know, where does Mr. Evans reside? Does he live at 510 West Ash Street, as he claims, which is in the district, or does he live at 321 Meadow Creek Cove, which is not in the district? And an investigation took place. And that investigative report is an exhibit. And I believe it is exhibit 2, maybe exhibit 3. Along with the report, there's a DVD video which I'm holding, and that doesn't look like this.
Oh, there's only 2 of you guys. I told you there'd be a disadvantage on the phone.
But I don't believe this is, given the room and time constraints, whether it just needs to be done, because what's on the video is described in the investigative report. And I don't believe we're trying to invade anybody's privacy. How else to determine residency but to observe where someone lives or doesn't live or claims to live, and to report those findings back, and that's what we've done. And but as the Constitution provides, and I guess as y'all been hearing earlier, a candidate for the legislature has to have resided in the district for 2 years prior to the election. We believe that a man resides where he goes to bed every night and wakes up the next morning. During the period of time contained in the investigative report, Mr. Evans was residing at 321 at that address there, and was not at Ash Street. We also believe the man resides where he garages his cars at night, where his family does. The Evans family has several vehicles, which we provided documentation of that. And none of those vehicles were seen on Ash Street, but were seen housed in the garage there overnight, going back and forth at the road address. The Ash Street address was observed, and there's an abandoned truck, or a truck that's not, doesn't appear to be operable, with an expired tag parked in the garage. There's another truck parked in the street in front of it. There's a Cadillac going back and forth from time to time, registered somebody in Yazoo County. And but we never saw Mr. Evans or Mrs. Evans going back and forth to that residence. The Ash Street property is in the name of Sarah O'Reilly Evans' life estate, and that's Mr. Evans' spouse. That property was conveyed to her, I believe, by her parents in 1991, and that's how ownership has existed since then. Homestead exemption has been maintained on that property up until tax year 2008. Then there's no more homestead. That same year, Sarah O'Reilly Evans purchased the property that's where we believe they reside at 321 Meadow Creek Road. And after she purchased it, she financed it with a deed of trust with the bank, and the deed of trust instrument was signed by Jim Evans and Sarah O'Reilly Evans. And then afterwards, that property was conveyed back to Mrs. Evans, her father, I believe. But on 2 other occasions, the property was conveyed back to Sarah, who on each of those occasions refinanced the loans, and Jim and Sarah together signed the deeds of trust. Both of those deeds of trust instruments represent on them that is the principal residence of the borrowers, which we think is a significant fact. We put that on a loan document, on a recorded land instrument, and we asked the committee to give that significant weight.
Is there homestead exemption on that house?
There is homestead exemption on the house. Homestead exemption is in the name of the Billy G. O'Reilly life estate, and Mrs. Evans is the remainder person, remainder man on that. But there is homestead exemption.
But it has to be an individual, not a trust, an individual, so it's her.
It's her. As I understand the law on homestead, to the regulations of the Department of Revenue, a person can have a life estate in a property and file for homestead. And it appears that the parent is the homesteader, and is also claiming the additional homestead benefit of being over the age of 65. So to answer the question, there is a homestead exemption, and it is in that name.
And that's the spouse, not the mother-in-law of
It's the mother-in-law of Mr. Evans.
and she is alive and well.
I don't know what her, I'm not aware of her having passed. I don't know what her condition is. We've also found other evidence that where the wife, Sarah O'Reilly Evans, who is a lawyer, lists her physical address as Meadow Creek Cove. And both Mr. Evans and Mrs. Evans list the same number, and that same number is established in the telephone directory, is tied to the Meadow Creek Cove address. That's other evidence. We believe that if Ash Street is where Mr. Evans resides, why don't Mrs. Evans and Mr. Evans claim homestead like they did previously? And if Ash Street is where Mr. Evans resides, why did he sign a deed of trust on 3 occasions for the Meadow Creek Cove property, and on 2 of those deeds of trust represented in writing that was his principal place of business? And if Ash Street is where Mr. Evans resides, why is it we people we retained to investigate residency could not find any evidence of him being there? That's our presentation, Madam Chair.
Okay, questions, committee? Did you happen to research where the 2 vote?
The 2 vote on Ash Street. They're registered to vote at Ash Street, as is Mrs. O'Reilly.
And are they actively voting with the Ash Street precincts? When a city election comes around, do they vote?
I don't know, but I don't know. I don't have any evidence to have.
Did you do any investigative prior to qualifying date?
Yes,
How about that?
a couple of days. I mean, in terms of the investigative report, it was a couple of days prior to my filing. Or actually, a couple of days prior to that.
So the 2-year qualification period to live in a certain district that started that 2 days prior to?
That'd be correct. Yes, and I would just add that if at any instance in that 2-year time frame, if you were to find that he was not residing there, then you would have a break in the residency relation.
The deed of trust that you referenced, verified or where they listed as principal place of residence? I can look, maybe if you don't do all.
I was gonna look it back up.
All right. Yeah. And we've got the exhibit numbers.
May I ask your name?
Oh, Mike Carroll, from the local attorney.
Questions, anyone? How about the phone? Mamie, Barbara, questions?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
No, I don't have any.
As far as the quantum proof, I asked this earlier, absolute proof, and I'm familiar with preponderance, clear and convincing, and beyond a reasonable doubt. Can anybody tell me what absolute proof is? It's under that statute.
Does it say absolute?
I believe that's what the wording is in the statute. Got some case law.
Never known that to be in the law. Absolute proof. Not sure such a thing exists.
Double check to make sure I didn't. Fail to provide absolute proof subject to no conditions that the candidate will meet the qualifications. Under Mississippi Code 2315-299-7.
Yeah, I'm a lawyer too, so I'm not aware of the Supreme Court construing that particular language with residency. I do know that there's been a discussion about being able to meet the condition by the date of the election. You know, that would be on the contingency. So I guess we would suggest preponderance of the evidence, in a civil matter would be a better standard.
Maybe some of these candidates can straighten it out for us at the next session.
Okay, questions, anyone? All right, thank you very much. And is Mr. James Evans here?
Yes, with counsel.
Okay. And who is his counsel?
Attorney Sarah O'Reilly Evans.
Personal Watson.
Earl Banks, attorney.
Lily Bath, attorney.
First, let me see, we did bring a response back today and left numerous copies. Were you able to get that response? It was a cover letter from Representative Evans, as well as our response where we attempted to go paragraph by paragraph and respond to the petition that was filed herein. You have that.
It's one of those last.
Yes, we did bring it today.
Can we get a copy?
Well, can we get a copy of the petition? Okay, thank you.
Okay, you got a copy from Ricky, baby.
Well, this is obviously not the same one that they found earlier, so. But I would first like to read an excerpt from Mississippi case regarding residency and the establishment of it and then the losing of it, which is, as I understand the law to be. And it states, and where he has true, fixed.
Excuse me a moment.
Uh-huh.
Can you please let me know who's speaking?
Attorney Sarah O'Reilly Evans.
Okay, thank you.
And I am reading law out of the Mississippi case, 1996. As a matter of fact, I think it was one of Sam Begley's cases that he lost on a challenge. Where he has true, fixed, permanent home and principal establishment, and to which, whenever he is absent, he has the intention of returning, a domicile continues until another is acquired. Before a domicile can be considered lost or changed, a new domicile must be acquired by removal to a new locality with intent to remain there, and the old domicile must be abandoned without intent to return there. That is the status of Mississippi law as I understand it. First, I'm going to go over the many deeds and the different ownerships that have been provided by petitioner. And in our petition, we have provided to you a deed wherein our residence at 510 West Ash was acquired in 1991. It was deeded by my father, Dr. Willie G. O'Reilly, and my mother, Lily G. O'Reilly, in 1991. That has been our continuous home, our lifelong home, my lifelong home, since that time. As admitted by them, all of our cars are registered there, our voter registration is there, our driver's license is there, the utilities are owned and have been continuous for decades. That lifelong estate that was provided to us in 1991, there has never been a change in ownership of that property since that time. The property that he alleges is our residence is the residence of my mother, Lily G. O'Reilly. She is 87 years old. In your packet, I have provided where she homesteads that property. Did I deed her that property? Yes. I deeded over that property to her and my father, a lifetime estate, and I have a remainder in that property. The lifetime estate that I have in Ash Street, they have a remainder. This is not anything that has occurred anytime new or within the last few years. This has been decades ago. Have there been transfers of the Meadow Creek property back and forth? Yes, up until about 10 years ago. when the property would need to be refinanced, because I was the remainder owner, I would be required to apply for the credit to refinance the property for her, to lower the interest rate, which I would do, and the deeds were immediately transferred, and their homestead has been continuous for all of these years. Now, also I have provided you the deed in here from 1991 that my parents gave to me at our residence. I have provided to you the homestead. I'm going to show and provide a copy where I go in and pay the taxes at 510 West Ash on my personal check that's 510 West Ash. I had put it in here that I thought better of with all the identity theft of my checks being floated around, but I will provide you a copy of that. And I want to say adamantly, in his petition where he said something occurred with his property in 2014, it did not. Everything he's giving you happened 10 plus years ago with any back and forward. I want to state that, again, that by his own admission, our voter registration has not changed. And when you asked about have we voted, I may have missed a vote in 20 years, and Jim may have missed a vote in 20 years. I'm not positive, I'm not like 30, 40, but we religiously vote. We're religiously active. We're religiously active in our community. He has represented this district for 6 terms. We represent the precinct caucus. Also, now they want to say, you need to count how many days we may be out at 321 Meadow Creek, where my 87-year-old mother homesteads, to determine our residents. I say that's ludicrous. When Jim goes to Florida to recount the vote and stays for 3 or 4 months, has he abandoned our residents? When he goes to D.C. to train folks to get ready for the next election, and he's gone for months, have we abandoned? If I want to practice law out where my mother is at 87, have we abandoned our residents? He has to show that we have actually abandoned our residents, and we do not intend to be there. Again, this is my lifelong residence. Jim's with me way before he ever ran for office. I have our utilities, which again, I will show you. But I did not, when you got people stalking out in front of your house and looking and going through, you do not want your checks and your utilities and everything. But this is Atmos Energy, 510 West Ave. Is it abandoned? $122? I think not. Sarah Evans. This is a city water bill, 510 West Ash. Anything over there that is not in my name or Jim's name is in my deceased father's name, who has been deceased for 20-some years. This is how continuous this property has been. City service bill, $242. Does that sound like an abandoned property? This is the phone number that they have an issue with. 353-7464 is listed as Jim and Sarah Evans, 510 West Ash. We pay the bill, the energy bill. It is $247. Now, in his mind, if you go to Ash Street, it's not as expensive as Rolling Meadows. This is the district he wants to live in. He's scared to come in and stop in front of the house. No, it's not the most expensive property, but it's an area we grew up in, we're familiar with. We walk the streets, our kids walk the streets. I wave at Representative Banks when I go 2 blocks down. He could have seen me come across the muddy front yard this morning, but I guess his detectives or whatever, maybe they weren't there today. But I think they're probably half scared to be over in the area. These are the utilities to look at. And these, my husband wants me to calm down. He wants me to calm down. I want you to flip the script. He says that's our district in Northeast Jackson. If Jim had come in here and qualified and said, I want to run in Northeast Jackson. Now, all our cars are registered at 510 West Ash. Our voter registration is at 510 West Ash. Our driver's license is 510 West Ash. The only place we have ever homesteaded is 510 West Ash. Would you have qualified us because we said we were out there at where my mother homesteads when we got ready to go visit? Do I go out there and stay sometimes days at a time and fix Christmas dinner, make sure she gets coffee? I do. My husband wants me to calm down. So, but, okay, let me take the rest. And that's why it's probably not best when you're personally involved to be the one. Oh, your Jim's driver's license issued by the great state of Mississippi, I could get mine to the side. Again, he said the Meadow Creek property was purchased by me in 2008. No, it was purchased back in the 1990s, just like all the other property. There's nothing new, no, not anything different on this property. Okay, and okay.
Is the Meadow Creek house a smaller house than?
It's a
Ash?
larger house, it's northeast Jackson. The Ash Street house is inner city, probably 5 minutes from here. It's the Georgetown community. So it's a smaller house. And it is a house that certain people would perceive that maybe if I had a choice, this may not be the house I want it to be. But it is our residence and our family residence. And it's a nice little red brick house.
So do you celebrate holiday dinners and things like that at the Ash Street home or the Rolling Meadows home?
This Christmas, we would have been at the Meadow Creek. We would have been out there and done and did whatever. Back, I think, October, November, we were at the Ash Street house. So it could be either. Other than that, I've got a sister out in Madison and they have been there. But this Christmas, I would have gone out there and done the cooking for everybody. But in October, everybody worked. In November, everybody worked there at the Ash Street. So it just kind of.
Okay, questions, anyone?
I have three. Sarah. This 353-746. Tell me where that is.
The bill is in there. It
I
is
forgot to look.
510 West, it's at 510 West Ash Street.
Have I not called you a number of times? I recognize the number.
Yes.
But I have called you over the years continually, and that's where it is. Also, I want to ask about have I not taken I used to work at the tax collector's office.
Right.
I had taken checks from you.
Right.
That had that address on it, and, for that property, but if your check would have that address on it. And then one more question, and this is to Jim. We talked to Mr. Evans the whole time, but we've been referring to you wrong, you were Reverend Mr. Evans. So we've been referring to you incorrectly all this time.
But that's okay.
Today.
That's
Because
okay.
I've always called you Reverend Evans.
This is the check that he's referring to. My personal checks at 510 West Ash, and that's where we can pay the tax. And we also own a property right 2 doors down from us.
Your elderly mother lives at the Meadow Creek?
Yes, sir, that is her residence.
And how long has she lived there?
Since 91, 92. And I want to mention, there are times even when, and I mentioned that in Jim's letter, we also have property in Yazoo County with residual. And I do legal representation in Yazoo. Sometimes I may spend the night up at that property. But if there's some number of nights that we're not supposed to be on somewhere and need to be there, I guess I need to know what that number, what's that magic number that I can be gone from the house.
Okay.
Okay. Amy, Barbara, do you have a question?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Anyone else?
Where you spend most of your time? 80, 20%?
Right, to be honest, right now, it may be about 50-50 because my mother is older. As the years have gone, my time is needed more. That's why a lot of times I'll go out there and practice. I'm a retired government attorney that practices part-time. And I'll go out there and do a lot of things because her age has increased quite a bit over the years. So the last few months, maybe back.
About 1 year at a time.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay,
And that was me who asked that.
thank you very much.
Can I say one thing?
We have a rebuttal?
Would it be all right?
Okay.
Permissible? Okay.
Not too long.
No, it'll be very short. One question I wish that had been posed to Mr. and Ms. Evans is, where you sleep on a regular basis. Yeah, that was it.
Well, that's why we question where she spent most of the time.
Okay. The second point I'd like to make is, there's a Supreme Court case that says it's a strong...
I'm going to turn this, but I'm going to object, you just concluded this with us. Now you have a rebuttal?
Yeah, well,
Well, I'll take a
Well, I thought
question.
under the rules, there was 10 minutes for them, 10 minutes for us, 10 minutes for question, that was it.
Well, I think you got more than your 15 minutes worth.
Okay, I just want to establish, we're changing rules, thank you.
It's not a change of rules, it's just 13 minutes. Okay.
well, there's a...
Excuse me, tell me who's doing the rebuttal, please.
All right, this is coming from
Mike Farrell.
Mike Farrell.
The Supreme Court says there's a strong presumption that you live where you file homestead exemption. Okay? If that's true, the corollary to that is you don't live where you don't file a homestead exemption. Now, Mr. and Ms. Evans claim they live on Ash Street. They haven't filed homestead exemption on that since 2008. Now, on the Northeast Jackson property, Ms. Evans' mother files homestead exemption on that property. And if you just look at the deeds that are in the record, they financed this house once and they refinanced it 2 times. And the deeds of trust are in there. In there, they told the bank, we promise to live at this residence since you're loaning this money to us. Also in those deeds. In fact, Sarah Evans' mother said, I'm conveying this deed to Sarah, who lives at 321 Meadow Creek. It's the Northeast Jackson property outside the district. Thank you.
We will take that into consideration. Do you have a rebuttal?
The rebuttal
Another
is,
minute?
Mr. Begley seems to be saying, get a dartboard, get a dart, and throw it anywhere, but don't throw it at 510 Ash Street. If you look at the Mississippi Supreme Court, the rule is, residence is where you say it is, not where someone else says that it is. Residence must be in conjunction with a physical building. It cannot be a tent, it cannot be a refrigerator box. We've established 510 Ash Street as the residence. We have said their intent is to be there. He wants you to go anywhere except 510 Ash Street. But the Supreme Court says clearly, residence is where you say it is, not where Mr. Begley says it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. So,